Hey besties, welcome to another episode of The Nurse Aspect where we assess and evaluate. My name is Nurse Becca and today we have on the show Nurse JT.
Yes.
What's
JT,
going on?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate you.
Listen, welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Oh, no
How
worries.
you feeling?
You see outside.
You know, I mean, for those who don't know, it's raining outside right now in New York.
The raining is an understatement. It's been pouring all day.
It's giving slight hurricane, but nothing that New Yorkers can't handle.
Yeah, well, you know how we do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me, why'd you get into nursing?
Well, initially, first off, I love helping people. Like that's my thing.
Okay.
I didn't realize how much I love helping people until probably later on in my adulthood, but I always loved helping people. So that was first off. And then my aunt, she was like, "You do well in nursing," and I was like,
Was she a nurse?
She was a nurse.
Okay.
She was a nurse, and she was like, "You would do well. You know, you're single. Da 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 da. Like, I think you would do well." At this time, I had moved to Huntsville, Alabama, because my uncle owned a electric company.
Okay.
So like a big electric company in Alabama, and I was there. Just my father was like, "Figure it out."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, you go to school and you're like, "Yo, figure something out."
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and she talked to me, and she kind of put the bug in my ear. I was like, you know what? I kind of like it.
Okay.
So then I went on that journey. So initially, I went to Queensborough.
Okay.
And they were like, "Oh, you gotta do like 2 years of,
like prerequisites.
Prerequisites.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
"You're not doing that."
Okay.
So then I went the LPN route.
Oh, that's great. I was LPN too. So
I went
right.
the LPN route. And that was a whole journey. So you know how it goes.
I sure do.
So just
I feel like I was
year,
like a certified babysitter, like working as an LPN.
Yo, it was crazy. So, but it was a dope experience. Dope experience. So I would definitely not take that away. But yeah, that was kind of how I got into it. So I graduated when I was 18.
Okay.
So I've been a nurse for 20 years now.
Okay. First of all, the age, okay. Don't crack. Yeah. All right, because it's given 24 right now.
Whoa,
okay.
You know. I appreciate that.
So after LPN, like, what'd you do from there?
So even before then, right? Like, so my brothers, I have two older brothers. They're in a singing group, and
you sing too?
No.
Okay.
I wish I did. Sometimes I do. Like I play, but nothing serious. But I was traveling around the world with them for a little while. So that's one of the mistakes that I made, is that I didn't take my boards right away.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how long did you wait to take your boards? This is your RN boards or for LPN?
This is for the LPN boards.
Okay.
So what happened was, again, I was 18. Everybody was still like, basically starting their lives.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I really want to be an adult for real right now?
You wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready.
Okay.
I wasn't ready. So I was like, you know what? Let me go travel the world. And so then I ended up coming back.
So how long did you wait? What was it period?
I want to say 3 or 4 years. It was a good amount of time.
Did you pass like the first shot or no?
No.
Okay.
No. I was like, no. No. I was like, nah. Because I didn't. So that's another thing. Like I've gone through my life, just didn't know how to study.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know how to study. So that was a whole experience for that. But it was humbling. Because then the first time I was like, okay, now I had to really learn how to study and figure it out.
All right.
Best decision, yeah, of course.
So then you, after like working as an LPN, like were you like in a nursing home? Like where were you?
So I started off in a nursing home, and actually I started off with a nursing home with my permit, right? And that was the best lesson that I ever learned. Never trust anybody.
Woo! Let me tell you,
that is the first lesson. Let me tell you. If there's anything that I'll tell about nursing, you don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody can key in your face
to death. Like, we're best friends. We're bringing food for each other.
When it comes, if they're choosing you or themselves, they're gonna choose themselves every time. Yep. So if there's any lesson that anybody gets out of nursing, don't trust anybody.
What happened?
So I had just started, obviously, right? I just started working at this I was working. I was like, yo, I'm getting this money. Like, it was, at that time, I think I was getting like $25 an hour. So I was working all the shifts. So this was like maybe like a 3 to 11 shift, right? And obviously, you know, they know their patients. So a patient took the medication. After I left, spit it out, put it on the desk, and then I walked out. You know, I walked out with whatever. I wrote down that they
you charted like the paper charts.
The paper charts, yeah, back in the days, So that they took it, whatever. So, and I know for a fact, right, that the 11 to 7 nurse, she comes in there and gives them the Synthroid in the morning. So she had to see it. She didn't do anything. 7 to 3 nurse came, but you know, 7 to 3 nurses swear they run the gym.
You
know how it goes.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
They're
the kings and queens of the floor.
Exactly.
Right.
Kings and
Day
queens.
shifters,
So then they were like, oh, it's the medication from the 9 p.m. They didn't take it, you marked it. And so I like, now I'm looking back at it, there was another nurse. She was like, you know this patient. Right? Because, you know, they brought both of us on the floor. We know this patient. Like, we know that you don't spit out the medication. And she was like, but the 11 to 7 nurse should have been there to discard it. And they basically like, yo, what should we do? She was like, you know, let it slide. So she was an advocate for me. Yeah. Mind you, this is my first job. I'm like shaking, like, yo, what would happen? So, like, that was the biggest lesson I learned. Don't trust anybody. Yeah. Funny enough, maybe a couple of weeks later, that same nurse that kind of told on me, I saw her at church, but that's a different story. Oh, that's a different story. That's a whole different story.
Wow.
I looked her in her face. Wow. I was like, the devil is a lie.
Wow. I mean, you can barely trust anybody, like, period, you know, and it goes to show you not only in nursing, but sometimes unfortunately at church too.
What?
Yeah.
Those are 2 big lessons. You can't trust anybody, especially in nursing. Yeah. But I mean, to now, like, I love nursing though. Like, I now that I'm like been in it so long, like, I couldn't see myself kind of doing anything else. Okay. So nursing, I've done it all. Like, probably, if I can go back and say which one is my favorite, other than what I'm doing now, it's probably wound care, right? Oh yeah, you like doing wound care? Wound care is so chill. Yeah. You just come in, do what you need to do, boom, 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 and then it's like one of those things you can see the progress. Like, every time you come in, you see the healing. You're like, do this, turn that up. Now, I remember, just like piggybacking off of you, I remember when I was working as an LPN, I had a patient that I was brand new. Like, milk is still on me. I'm super new into it. And I remember, like, being in the hallway and I'm like, something smells like this is not good. And I walked in with the wound care nurse. I was just following her around just to kind of, like, they couldn't put me with anybody to train. Like, they were like, just follow this wound care nurse around. And we walked into this room, the door opened, and I'm like, I'm surprised I didn't pass out. Like, it was just, the wound was just so bad. Like, this man had like a tumor on his head that was just open. And so she was just like, but what I found interesting was that she was like, I'm going to use yogurt, like actual yogurt, to like on the wound to, like, she's like, it helps with the smell and actually also helps with like the healing. I had something similar where, like, this guy was like, he had like a tumor in his face though. Like, it was like literally eating his face. Yeah. And it was like, he didn't want to stop smoking or anything. Oh. It was bad. Yeah. It was like, them wounds it's not fun. But I found it interesting that, like, you know, I didn't know that you could do that. Like, I was like, you know, and you know, as she was doing it, like, just like you said, like, you do see the progress and stuff like that. Now, I can't say I would be a wound care nurse, but have I taken care of wounds? Am I scared of wounds? No, I'm not. Like, it's, you know, but it was interesting to just kind of like see that kind of like. Yeah. Wound care is dope. I like, if I was to go back to patient care, I'm not. Like, it's funny because I'm thinking about, like, well, you never know what God has for you, right? But listen, okay. But like, I'm thinking about like buying some scrubs and just like framing it. 2022. Yeah, this is like the retired jersey. Yeah. But if I was to go back, it would be wound care. Because you posted up in the NCLEX hospital. Yeah. And it's I think also too what I liked about it is, like, you get that one-on-one interaction. You're not stressed. Yeah. You don't have to deal with. You don't have, right. I mean, you do have like patients to see, but it's not the same as having like a patient load, especially in a nursing home where you like pushing probably 2 med carts, whatever, and stuff like that. Like, it's not. It's totally different. Oh, you said 2 med carts. That just made me remember another lesson, right? Like, there were times where, like, a nurse wouldn't show up or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, can you do both sides of the floors?"
Yeah.
Don't ever do both sides of the floors. All right, say no, because if anything happens,
you're gonna get people fired. Huh? You're gonna get people fired.
Yeah. No. You say no, because they're not. If anything happens, they don't have your back either. They don't have your back either. So yeah. I remember one nurse, she used to do it all the time. I'd be like, "Watch, you're gonna get yourself messed up." And sure enough, they kept doing it, asking her, and then she ended up getting messed up. I was like, "Nope, not me." Not me.
Definitely been there. I've definitely gotten to like assignments where I'm like, okay, I'm not taking these keys. Like, you're asking me to be responsible for something, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I've walked out and stuff like that. I've never gotten fired. Like, I'm not recommending that to people, but but if you accept an assignment, you're responsible. Like, that's.
So I've never been in a situation where I've walked out. I don't even know if I have the courage for that. Right.
I only did it one time. I did it one time, and I was shaking because I was like, I got bills. Like,
I don't know if I have, but. Sometimes it's real, like, like, I'm not taking this patient. Like, nope.
Yeah.
They already, nope.
So after like LPN, like, so you got into RN eventually, and then where'd you go from there? Where'd you start?
So I had waited a long time, cause I wanted to get into entrepreneurship. So I don't know if you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
It's on my list. I'm not gonna lie. It's on my list. I am a reader. Like, I'm not saying that to just be like, no, it is on my list though. But I've heard always good things about it.
Yeah. So what happened was I started reading. Like, I was never a reader, and I was like, you know what? I need to start reading because I have certain goals, and I'm like, where's information in books? Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I wanted to go up this nursing ladder, and basically it was like, every time that you increase with education, your money's gonna go up, but then it's gonna stop. And then to keep increasing, you have to get more education. So I was like, damn, I need to figure out like another path. And so that's kind of where I was after I got my RN. I was like, I'm not gonna keep going on and on. I'm like, I need to figure out what I need to do to now increase. And then, slowly but surely, it's taken a long time, but I think I found.
So what is it that you're doing? Care to share?
Nah, not really. No, I'm just messing with you. So right now, like, I kind of got into the transformation space, right?
Okay.
So essentially, well, let me kind of go back. Let me go back a little bit. So I ended up getting divorced 6 years ago, right? And that was like, looking now, is the best situation that ever happened to me.
Okay.
Because it gave me a chance to really step back and really evaluate life. And I ended up going to this program called Momentum Education. Changed my life. I don't think I would have been depressed, but it basically stopped me from.
To stop the process.
Yeah, stop the process because they're big in community. And so for me, I was like, wow, this is super, super important. Like, community is super important, especially as a Black man. Like, you have your friends.
Yeah.
And like, even when I was speaking to my boys, like, I was the first one to go through divorce. Like, some of them were divorced now, right? But I was the first one, so everybody's like, stick it out, champ. You'll be all right. And it's like, nah, you need more support than that.
Yeah.
So once I realized that's what I wanted to get into, that's when I started to figure out, okay, what community can I create? And strictly for men. And then I ended up coming up with a nonprofit called Krowned Kings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so right now it focuses on emotional intelligence and communication for men.
Oh, wow.
So at first I was like, I wanted to do Black men, but I was like, you know what? All men need it. So
okay.
That's where we are now, and so I'm working on that. Like, it's a process. It's a huge process, like building something up, as you know.
Yes.
As you hear, just building up and getting out.
I'm trying to create a community of my own right now.
You're not trying. You're not trying. You're doing it. You're doing it. Like, you're doing it. So, once I realized, like, this is what I want to do, now it's in obsession mode. I'm not an obsessive person. Okay. But I realized to get to that next level that I want to be, I have to force myself to be uncomfortable. That's where I am now.
Okay. How long have you been doing it? Like, when did you start this process? Like,
so I started holding. So it's almost like 2 years now. So I started officially. I opened up officially we put the nonprofit together about a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. But I've been holding, like, basically I call it a confidential circle where men just come in and just talk, just freely and just talk about anything. No judgment zone. You know, as men, not as men, but as a man, like we really keep things to ourselves. We go through a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, and just kind of circling back to the nursing, right? Like during COVID, I was doing a patient care, and I was working at like 2 different spots.
Making that money.
I was killing, paid off all my debt, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
So but what happened was I didn't realize how much seeing all that death one time, like people who have been around for like at these facilities for like years, just dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And one day I just sat down and I was like, wow, I need to speak to somebody about this. There's a lot. So what was your experience with
COVID?
Yeah, during COVID.
So at the time I was still an LPN. My facility was pretty big. It was like a long-term care and rehab. We didn't have a morgue or anything like that.
Oh, so you had the bodies in the back.
So we didn't have. So what happened was that we actually had to keep the bodies there. Like when we called families to let them know, like, you know, your loved one has passed away. They literally had to call 7 like funeral homes before like we can be like, okay, let's get the undertaker involved. Like they're like, and they were not coming out unless they called like at least 7. Like that's how crazy it was. But every shift, I actually never called out during COVID at all, which was actually crazy. But every shift I lost at least one person, at least. And that was wild. And just the same thing, because, you know, nursing home, like, it's not as a revolving door as a hospital, you know? So they are there, like, they're residents, you know? And to see that, like, you know, people that you knew for years, you know, whatever, like, just literally dropping like flies. On top of that, like, you know, people are scared, like, we don't even know what's going on. My facility, and I'm sure a lot of, like, nursing homes and stuff like that, didn't even have, like, suitable PPEs at all. Like,
oh wow,
I literally had to hold on to my little blue mask, that little thin blue mask. That was my PPE. I didn't have like an N95. I couldn't find one, nothing like that. And I'm talking about I had like one would have to last me for at least like 2 or 3 weeks. Like,
you kind of have your own. You sound like you've been through your own little drama.
A little traumatic. I should talk to somebody, you know, because that's.
I'm telling you, it was a crazy experience.
Yeah, it definitely was wild. It definitely was wild. And you know what's so funny? It's like, so I ended up starting working at a hospital, like during COVID, like later in 2020. In 2020 is when I started working at the hospital, and I remember just seeing people just put on N95s, take them off, throw them out. Like, it was just like an abundance. And I'm like, you guys have no idea how it is like anywhere else. Like, you know, that's so wild to me. That's so wild. Yeah.
Nah, it was definitely an experience. So, I look at everything now as like, I'm glad I went through it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, when you're on the back end of it, you're just like, okay, like, where can I have grown from this? Okay, I see where I grew.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're going through it, you're just not, you're
not thinking about that at all. Yeah, right.
But now I'm trying to, like, when I'm going through any type of situation, I'm like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? So, like I said, during COVID, like, I became debt-free. And so one of the things I do want to talk about is y'all nurses, get y'all finances together. Okay.
Give me tips.
Well, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you.
Listen, you want to put my business out for you? That's fine. I'll tell you. Financial wise, I have a lot of debt. Like, I did not. You know, it's funny, when I first was like, all right, I'm gonna graduate and go to school and stuff like that. I was like, I'm not taking out any student loans. That was that was what took me so long to actually start into nursing, period.
Okay.
But eventually I was like, you know what? I'm single right now. Let me, I ain't got no kids. Like, let me just go for it and do a 4-year program. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna, whatever. Biggest mistake, because how about now I'm in debt? Like, so.
But is it student loan debt? Or
it's student loan debt.
That's not bad.
No, it is bad. Because
it's
6 figures. Yeah, because I decided to go to a private school. I didn't do enough research, as in, like, I could have went to like a 2-year, like, you know, did like a community college type of thing, and then went back. Like, I didn't do that right, because I was like, I'll just do a 4-year, whatever.
Just knock it out one time.
Yeah, and then also I was just like, I was under the impression that, like, I need a big name school to get me into a good hospital to work, and how about that's not true? So here I am with a 6-figure debt for a 4-year education degree, like that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I also it will never make sense to me. I will say this on every episode. It doesn't make sense to me that nurses are not considered civil workers. Like, it doesn't make sense that our debt is, we serve the public. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So I think,
in that sense.
I think also, so in that regard, like if you work for a VA, they'll clap all that. Really? But the problem is that most nurses, if you work for a VA for a certain amount of time, they'll eliminate your debt for you.
But a certain amount of time.
So it might be like 4 years, but the problem is the pay.
The pay is so low.
But it's like it
offsets like what you're.
So it just depends on.
Yeah.
Like I think that there's a lot of like gems in there, like working for like, you know, the VA. You get to see a lot of different things, and you know, they need the help. Here's the thing, right? Like, and again, going back to the finances, like that's one thing I noticed. Like all my nurses, most of them are females actually, right? Like they spend so much bread, but I feel like it's a mentality that nurses have. It's like, and it's kind of not that, but I can see like how it happens. It's like, okay, I want this bag. Okay, how many shifts do I need to work to get this bag or this vacation, right?
Yeah.
And so because there's so much abundance, where it's like, okay, I can keep, like you just end up just spending, right? And not, like the goal is to be free.
Yeah.
Like it might not be, you know, it might not be like in the 10 years or whatever case may be, but the goal is to stack up. So like I always tell nurses all the time, like, listen, for every check that you get, like save one, because our checks be nice. I'm not gonna tell you how much I made last year.
20. Okay, was it? Let's do a little benchmark. Was it above 150?
I will neither confirm nor deny. I'll put it this way.
Okay.
Last year I bought 2 investment properties.
Okay, well, we're not broke. So okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm closing on 11 units. So
wow.
So let me tell you, when I tell you, like with nursing, like if you set your money up right, you can have anything.
So how did you get into the financing part? Like, and what can you tell us? Like, what exactly do you do in terms of like, do you help nurses out? Like, what's going on?
So that's the thing. All right. So when I was trying to figure out what area that I wanted to get into, like the entrepreneurship, I was thinking about consulting. Like I started doing consulting, like financial consulting with people. But I didn't feel like I felt good helping them, but I didn't feel like it was purpose, right? So for me, like I'm looking for purpose right now. So, but if I do another business, financial helping for nurses would be critical, because I feel like we make way too much money, but we spend a lot.
That's true.
So, I don't know. Like how I help nurses really is just like monitor what you're bringing in, and like I said, you can literally, if you want to work an extra shift or 2, I'll pick anything. It's like, what do you want? Okay, put in less. And I always say this, right? Everything's a season.
Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna kill yourself working 60 hours a week, do that for a couple of weeks. You can't do. I can't be like.
You can't sustain that.
Yeah. So many nurses are like working day and night. Like I did it for a while, but I realized like you can't sustain it.
So now, in terms of like buying your investment properties, like what was that like? What was that process like?
So are you familiar with Storm Leroy? Nope. Okay. So I stumbled upon him on Unleashed, right? You're familiar with Unleashed?
Nope.
So you're gonna have to do some research on some of the black networking. Yeah,
I sure do. Okay.
Yeah. So there's YouTube. Well, they're like a media thing now, but they started out like maybe 3 years ago. Just talking about just black businesses and entrepreneurship. And I used to watch it, and every week I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. But I always wanted to get into real estate, and so he came on the show and he basically like showed his system. Essentially, he invests out of state, right? Okay. And so that worked out perfectly for me. So how it was is that basically he would pick a location around the country, find a team, and then outsource everything. So obviously with the schedule that I had, it's perfect. Like, so now, like, I just, was it the second? I just got an email this morning, like, hey, this is how much you got, this is the deduction, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Send us. You know where to send it. Mm-hmm. Passive income. I didn't do anything.
Wow.
I did not do anything, and so it's one of the. So real estate is not for everyone, mm-hmm. but like I feel like you can definitely figure out what investment strategies work for you.
So like for let's say someone like a nurse that's making like $120K a year, and they're like, okay, I want to invest. What, in your opinion, is like, how much money do you think that like is good to start out with, or something like that? Like, just in your opinion.
So it depends. Like, so that's kind of broad, but let's just say if you're like, let's say with you, right? Mm-hmm. You say you're single, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Do you like going on trips?
I sure do.
How many trips you go on a year?
I mean, this year it's 0 so far, just because I'm like, I'm trying to do my little, I gotta assess and evaluate,
Yeah.
But typically I probably go on like at least 3.
Three is a good amount. So is it in-state, out-state, like out of the country? Like, how do you do it?
Usually out of state and out of the country.
So 2 out of the country is 1 in-state?
No. Last year it was 2 out of the state and 1 out of the country.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not terrible. But typically I would say like you can cut that down, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not in the situation. Most nurses I know, they're going on vacations like every 3 months. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's how it used to be.
But that's what I'm saying, mm-hmm. right? So now think about how much money you're spending, right? Just on that, for that experience. And I'm all for experiences, right? But I'd rather keep my experiences, a little tailored, whatever, once in a while, and then put money. So instead of me spending, $3,000-$4,000 on a trip, put that aside for investment.
Okay.
And you can do that every quarter. Mm-hmm. You have a 401k. You work for the hospital, right?
I do.
You have a 401k?
I sure do.
Are you maxing out your 401k? Okay, so we're gonna have that conversation.
That's what a little later. Yeah, I do need to.
Because essentially it's free money, right?
Yeah,
and
that's what everybody tells me.
What people don't understand is like you can borrow. When it comes to
I was thinking about it for like when I want to buy a house. Like that's what I was planning on doing. Like using that for like either closing costs or something like that, or like a down payment for a house and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. You can use that, and you can use it for an investment property as well. So that's what I did. I used it for my first investment property.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, we get that. And then I got some hustle, pay that off, used it again.
What type of investment properties do you have?
So I only do multifamilies, right?
Okay.
Because I do multifamily for 2 reasons, right? If something happens where the tenant is not paying, you still got somebody else covering the rent or whatever the case may be, and more cash flow.
Yeah. Okay.
So multifamilies, single families, like if something happens and they can't pay the rent, then what? You gotta cover that.
Yeah. Okay, I feel that.
No, thank you. And then,
have you ever run into a terrible tenant situation?
Yeah. Okay. Like I've been doing so. From my first property last year, the day that I signed, this lady, she's been living in the property for 10 years. The day that I signed, she's like, "I'm going to PR."
Yeah. Pardon?
She's like, "I'm going to PR." So literally, that first month, I'm like, "Oh." But again, because I had and somebody else covering the rent, I was able to pay the mortgage. So. Okay. And then next month, they had to clean up the place. She'd been there for 10 years. They cleaned the place and blah blah blah, and they were really good. Got somebody else in there, and now she was paying under market anyway. So again, Lord bless.
Okay.
So now money's coming in pretty well. So the goal is 15K passive income. That's the first benchmark, and then
and going up from there.
That's it. Once I get to about 20K, I'll probably.
Okay. And what are you doing nursing right now?
So I work for a health insurance. I work in the quality. So it's remote.
That's a blessing. A blessing.
Yo,
blessings on blessings.
Let me tell you. So I was in nursing school with my homegirl. I'm not gonna say her name just in case.
Yeah.
But shout out to my homegirl. And she was like, "You need to get into quality." So I was like, whatever. The only thing I knew was patient care and all that stuff. And then one day, she was like, "Hey, I have a job, 90K. You don't have to work weekends. pay vacation, this. I was like,
sign me up. Yeah.
That, like, I haven't looked back since. So that was like almost 8 years ago.
Okay.
And so I've been working hybrid, but mostly remote. Like, a lot, especially during COVID. We were fully. They're just now making us come back. Not necessarily into the office. We do go into the office, but going to the doctor. So again, where I work, health insurance, I deal with quality. But let's just say like a provider is coding for, let's say, hypertension, right? And we see like, okay, they're hypertensive, but why are they not getting better? Like, why is there, things? So that's our job, to make sure we're on top of the provider, saying, hey, listen, you need to be managing this person's care as their gatekeeper and bring it down. So that's kind of what we do.
Okay. Is there anything you don't like about it? No.
I mean, I guess more so because it's corporate. Now you got to deal with the corporate meetings and stuff like that.
Okay.
All these town hall stuff. But it's a corporate job, right?
Okay.
So, but other than that, there's the holidays.
Do you feel like, I know you got like a little hookup or whatever, but do you feel like it's easy to get into? Like, if I was just like, you know what, I want to leave the hospital, like, how easy or hard is it for me to get into it?
I don't think it's hard to get into. I think that you do need to know the right person to help kind of guide you on how to get into it. But I don't feel like, I think any nurse can get into it.
Okay.
It's dope.
It sounds dope. Okay, no weekends, no holidays. You just like,
pay days off. Like,
you could travel,
whatever. Yeah. Like, so, like I said, before, like, we did the hybrid thing, like, I'll spend the summer with, my parents live in Georgia. I'll just spend the summer over there. Move around, whatever.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. All right, well, thanks for sharing. Now we're going to get into the nurse's note. As nurses, we have to document and pretty much tell people, tell providers exactly what we're doing with our patient, things that happen, and those things are memorialized. I wanted to create this part of the show where we memorialize, as nurses, things that happen to us. So, welcome to the nurse's note. What is your note that you want to share?
Well, I think I kind of shared earlier.
Yeah, right? you did. You gave us a tip. You gave us some things.
You really got to be like mindful of the things that you say. Like, if you say you did it, you got to make sure that you do it. Right? I feel like a lot of nurses like trying to cut corners. Right? Even myself, like, you cut corners to a certain degree, but never at the detriment of
your patient.
Right, like, and as nurses, you figure out what makes sense, right? Like, obviously, you're not on the board where you're gonna go give somebody eye drop and then 15 minutes later give them another eye drop.
Yeah.
Like, nobody got time.
Yeah.
Right.
We're giving all the drops at the same time. As an LPN, I'm not gonna hold you there.
But at the same time, like, that's not gonna affect the patient.
Yeah.
But stuff where you're just like
completely negligent.
Yeah. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, like I gave you a blood pressure medication and I really didn't give it, or stuff like that.
Or let's say that you did give the blood pressure, right? But you didn't even check to see what the BP is first.
Yeah, or heart rate, like just certain things.
Certain things, yeah. Like, listen, like, if it says like, yo,
it's
check
a beta
heart
blocker.
rate, it's like you gotta do it. So that's what I would say. Like, that's the biggest thing that I learned, right? Like, I'm not the most organized person, but there were certain things that I was like, I'm not crossing the line off of it. Right? So I think, like, you got to make sure you do your due diligence. So that's probably my nurse's notes tip. Okay. All right. And if you didn't document it, it wasn't done. Sure wasn't, because boy, we'll come back to you if you need to ever, like, if you ever get caught and you have to be in some sort of somebody's court, like, facts. I've never had to deal with that. Neither have I, and I'm not trying to be. And and this is why I'm getting out of patient care now, because I want them. You don't everybody sue people, just be suing for no reason nowadays. The most nonsensical things. Like, that's suing is the new hustle. It is. How about it is? Yeah. Suing is the new hustle, and you ain't gonna catch me slipping. Okay, I feel you.
So tell people, like, where can we check you out for Krowned Kings?
Krowned Kings, you can check us out on Krowned Kings NY on IG. Oh, I missed to I have to mention this, right? Like, our brother Nate, you know Nate.
I do, I guess. Y'all will meet Dr. Nate at some point, I promise.
So that's my man's. Like, we literally just met like a couple of months ago, right? Like, but I feel like
a whole blessing. He's a whole blessing. Man.
Yes, yes, he is. So we met like a couple of months ago, and we were talking. Like, we actually started an entrepreneurship group, like, and focusing on growing this practice. And I was like, dude, what do you want? He's like, yo, I want to help out people, right? Like, obviously men, right? Black men or whatever. And so we're putting together a summit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, health summit. Basically, just to show the importance about like health. Like, I know so many, like, and I'm not talking about like people, like just guys who just don't get annual wellness visits.
Yeah.
It's once a year. Especially like as black people, it's like it's until something is like wrong.
Happens. And usually it's someone else dragging you in. It's not
exactly.
Yeah.
And so like the focus of this is really just to show the importance of health, and also mental health. Like, that's a thing. Obviously,
Major.
It's become a big thing now, but super important, mental health. And so we wanted to put together. We're going to be doing it in Hempstead. Don't have a date yet.
Okay.
But it's going to be like summertime vibes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all
so
come check it out.
I'm really excited about that. And so we want to focus on just quick 5 minutes, like, check up, see like how your blood pressure is, get your family history. You know how we.
Yeah. The frieds, everything.
Everything.
Especially down south, y'all be eating chitlins and stuff like that. That's it, right? Chitlins.
Chitlins. Yeah. I don't.
You don't mess with that.
I don't mess with the swine, but nah, I synced it.
Synced and smell, because I heard it's not the best in the smell. I heard.
It's one of those things that I think you gotta just
acquire taste.
Grow up on it. But yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And just the future stuff, right? So like you were saying, Krowned Kings. But yeah, so again, like, what we do is we do a bi-weekly meeting where men just come in. Any man just come in, just talk.
Okay.
Just vibe. Like, it's a vibe.
Okay.
Vibe.
All right. Y'all check the link for this episode. It'll be available. You say y'all meet twice a week?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. Oh, you said bi-weekly? Oh, you said bi-weekly or bi-monthly? I heard weekly. It's bi-monthly?
It's bi-weekly.
It's bi-weekly?
So that's the misnomer, right? When something is, if it's bi-monthly, then it's every 2 months.
You know what? How about I feel stupid and that's okay? No. It's not even like, I'm okay to like shout myself out. Okay. Like, I'm not even, you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna pick up my jaw. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's fine.
And so I was doing it every week. But the stuff that we get into, I'm not. I need to space it out because it gets heavy.
Okay.
So like I said, it's a safe space. Like, guys just come in and just. Especially if they're a new guy, right? They'll come in and they'll speak and it'll be cool. And then once they see other guys like really opening up, and then slowly but surely we get to it.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see how Krowned Kings grow.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Check out the event. Whenever y'all have it sometime in the summer, you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, I'm definitely coming back.
Okay.
Listen,
come back and share
be a permanent.
Listen. Okay, you're a recurring guest. My first recurring guest. Listen. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. This is so
problem.
dope.
Thank you for coming.
Amazing.
Thank you. If you guys ever want to be part of the show, have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to see anything, talk to me, talk to JT, hit me up at thenurseaspect@gmail.com. Catch you guys next week.